Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the MAJLIS of HAZRAth MAULANA QAMAR Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Friday at about 9:30 a.m. at Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Friday, the 13th of Jumadul Akhirah, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 6th of January 2023. Hazrat Wala starts off by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن قَرْيَةٍ عَتَتْ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهَا وَرُسُلِهِ فَحَاسَبْنَاهَا حِسَابًا شَدِيدًا وَعَذَّبْنَاهَا عَذَابًا نُكْرًا. When I opened, I seen this particular article and topic. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib was a Hafizul of Quran par excellence, and the dhawq and the shauq, he used to just go on reading. He had some amazing, ajib khususiyat. I am worthless, useless. However, he was kamil, rather mukammil. He made so much of mehnat on us. So, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib, at one time, lots of rain came in Fatehpur, and he also designated 2 people to see and monitor the conditions, this, that, and the other. So, when we see about these things, here also we're speaking about the people of this village and this town. Now, all of this here, the end result being the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala protect us from His displeasure, because the mahbub haqiqi, the genuine beloved, is none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat that we please Him. Listen well, I'm reading the Quran. Now these are the things that I actually left in its original form. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib's andaz, his style was like that. Listen, sunye, मैं Quran पढ़ रहा हूँ. Listen well, I'm reading the Quran. After he recited all those ayat of the Quran Majid, I have in front of me the Ma'arif Muslihul Ummah, volume number 5. After these ayat, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib says that this is not the kalam of any makhluk. This is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But who was his audience at that time? There were great seniors there. It was Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahib, Maulana Ali Mia Sahib, and the list goes on. In front of me, I have Tafsir Ruhul Ma'ani. It is a very reliable and mu'tabar tafsir. So should we not keep this type of tafsir in front of us? What can I say about Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib? He knew Tafsir Ruhul Ma'ani Azbar. He knew it by heart. The mazameen, the different portions, he used to quote from it abundantly. When so many kitabs came his way, rather an entire library, and he had reached his old age, he called myself and Mauli Ammar, and what did he say? He said that I want you people now to go into the kitabs and read them and take out from there and come and tell me what you have read. This here was his zawq and shauq, thirst, enthusiasm for ilm. This tasawwuf of ours is ilmi. Quran has come to admonish. On one side, he would speak from the talks of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Jawziyah, and on the other side, he would speak from the talks of Mujaddid al-Faythani and others. So here, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن قَرْيَةٍ, the word here, qaryatin, the town or the village, actually means Ahle Qarya, the people of the village. Now tell me, Atat an amri rabbiha, they rebelled against the command of their Rabb. Now when we read through articles and mazmoons, topics like this, tell me, is this not waz? Is this not admonition? Is this not something that we can learn from? Usse barkar koi wise nahi. There is no admonition greater than the Quran. This year, they are not disobeying any ruler, any king, any clerk, any president, hakim, chaudhry, rather the rule and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maulana Iqbal was here, he was saying, وَعَذَّبْ فَحَاسَبْنَاهَا حِسَابًا شَدِيدًا. Then we took a severe reckoning of them. وَعَذَّبْنَاهَا عَذَابًا نُكْرًا. And we also gave them a severe punishment. Maulana Iqbal Sahib was saying, presently in America, there is such type of snow that people can't even leave their homes. You know, when I went to Gujarat, regarding that one reservoir or something that they had built, the remarks and the impressions there of those who put it together, they said that now we have built such a thing that nothing can touch it. No floods will ever break these walls, etc. And do you know what happened? The next best thing was that whatever they said turned out to be weak, and all of that had been destroyed by the floods. هَذَا كِتَابُنَا يَنْطِقُ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْحَقِّ. So this is the Quran Majid that is speaking to you with the truth from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Tanvi said that Wasiullah has such affinity with the Quran Majid, and you would see then that everyone has their own andaz and their style. The Quran, Allah Ta'ala introduces the Quran right at the very beginning. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That this is the kitab, there is no doubt in it. Thereafter, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib said that people are coming to me complaining about rebellious children and how their children turned out to be wicked and evil against them. I heard myself someone, prominent person, whose son had passed away, and his impression was that it's very good that he had passed away, meaning that he was so pareshan and troubled with the son of his that he was actually happy at the demise of his son. Now here, in the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we learn some great points here. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asks Allah for refuge, seeks the refuge of Allah against children who are the cause of evil to them. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam seeks refuge in Allah against wealth, which is going to be a cause of punishment to them. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min waladin yakunu alayya wabala. O Allah, I seek refuge in you against children, progeny that will be a cause of evil against me. And I seek refuge وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ مَالٍ يَكُونُ عَلَيَّ عَذَابًا. And I seek refuge in you against such wealth that will be a cause of punishment for me. So here, both of these can be a test, a trial and a tribulation. So one is mal and one is walad. One is wealth and the other is children. And speaking about this year, from the dua, we understand that how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam strikes a difference when he asks Allah for protection against these two. He refers to wealth being a cause of punishment to a person, but a greater, what is worse than that even, is Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam uses the word for wealth, he uses the word adab, a cause of punishment. But even more severe than that is wabal. Wabal is something which is even worse than that of punishment. It is a cause of evil. It is a cause of finishing up a person completely. وَالَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَهَا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Those who hoard gold and silver and do not spend it in the cause of Allah, then give them the news, the glad tidings of a severe punishment. And that day, what will happen to them? They will be burnt in the fire of Jahannam. Now Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, says that sometimes a letter comes from the son to the father. The father reads it. If he can't understand it or even read it, he'll get someone to read it for him. Then further, he will still go on to say, check properly, is there anything that he has written? Check on the other side of the page. Check in between the lines. Do this, do that. That's the care, and that's the worry, and that's how eager, enthusiastic and concerned he is about the letter of his son. Then what about the letter from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the last testament of Allah to humanity, Al-Quran, the message of Allah to humanity? On one occasion, a muballigh or senior alim came from Darul Uloom Deoband. He seen around in the khanqa what was happening. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib is giving his majlis and an alim is writing. He looks at that type of writing, etc. He goes to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib and says that what you talking, they writing something else. Nevertheless, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib calls Jami Sahib, who was a senior ustad at the madrasa there, and says, what you writing, show it to me. And he goes through it and he says, no, write what I am telling you to write. So they go on to write that. Nevertheless, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib summons them again and he says, show me what you have written. When he goes through that again, he says, what have you written here? What have you written? He said, Hazrat, this is exactly what you asked me to do. So he said, no, leave it. Abandon that. Do what you were doing earlier. Meaning, when a person is speaking in a talk, in a waz, in a lecture, he's explaining something. He has an audience in front of him. He goes back, he goes forward, he goes to the right, he goes to the left. He repeats something over and over again, and this is not the andaz and a style when this comes into paper form and as a lecture in a book form in front of a person. There's many things that you have to cut short, and there's many things that are hard, that you have to simplify, etc., to make it easy for the reader. So we're speaking about the fitna of wealth. A person has wealth. Now when he has wealth, what he'll go on to do? It's become so hard and difficult for us just to come from the madrasa to the house. You see these weddings. I don't even say now wedding halls, etc. So many have come in Allahabad. I rather say that this city has now become a city of weddings. Such functions that you could not even understand that what is this here? Is it that of Muslim or is it that of Hindu? Because there is no difference left between the functions of both of these, the Hindus and the Muslims. So all of this is happening. सब चीज हो रही है, लेकिन किताबों नहीं छप रही है. Everything is happening, this is happening, that is happening, but kitabs are not being printed. Whereas kitabs last for years and years. This year is the Malfuz of Hazrat Maulana Ali Miah Sahib. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, by means of his dua, speaks about wealth and speaks about awlad. Rather, between the two, the greater, more difficult calamity between the two would be that of disobedient and rebellious children. See, wealth cannot speak. It doesn't have a sense of ihsas and perception. You can take it and you can throw it. A person, the wound that's on the hand and the leg, that will heal eventually. But the wound that's on the heart, that doesn't heal easily. So, these weddings and these functions. If a person doesn't have the money, then will he go to such extremes? Will he disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, not at all, because he doesn't have that. So this is how that same wealth then becomes a means of a calamity for a person, a source of punishment. So many letters are coming, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib is saying, where people are speaking about the wabal, the cause of evil and disaster that children have become for us today. Now, children, the money you can take it and throw it. But children, they have ihsas, they have hiss, they can talk. So how do you abandon them? How do you work it out? Isn't it much more difficult? Now you're caught up in such a corner now. The Shair says, "Na to rone ki ijazat hai, na ke faryad, gut kar mar jaye ya marzi hamare sayyad ki." Now you don't have the permission to cry. You're caught by the hunter. You have no permission to cry, nor do you have any permission to beseech and to plead and say, "Please free me, now suffocate and die." This is the pleasure or the wish of the hunter. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time understood that there would be a great need for this, and he taught the ummah to make this dua: "Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from such wealth that will be a cause of punishment for me, and I seek refuge in you against such awlad and children that will be a cause of evil against me." So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's dua here is showing us the amount of ma'rifat and recognition that Allah Ta'ala had granted him regarding these different things. Many people come and they sit, but they do not accept the talks of Allah and His Rasul. So we go, wa'izin, these people, these lecturers and these who come on these tours and they speak for hours on end. They do not even say one thing there that will be of any use and benefit to the audience and the public. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahib used to say that when you enter that majlis, then make a niyat that I'm going to take one thing from here and make amal. Now, there are so many type of majlis and bayans that you go to throughout the entire year. In this way, so many different things will come into your life because your niyat is such, and from every bayan and majlis you say, you're going in with that mindset, and you focused in that way that I'm going to find something and I'm going to take that and I'm going to make amal on it. With the result, you're going to start practicing on so many things, and this is how deen is going to come into your life. So, people come, but they are rejecting these many things that we are saying, this, that and the other. Today, we don't even know what is Iman, but we say that we are Muslim. Iman is a quality. What is it? It is Tasdeeq bima ja'a bihin Nabiyyu sallallahu alayhi wasallam qat'an. It is to verify and accept that which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has brought most definitely and completely. We should accept that. So for people, common people like us, isn't this a great waz where the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming to a people and how it destroys them, etc., and how wealth can also be a calamity and a burden to you, and worse than that will be that of rebellious children. So can there be a greater admonisher than Quran and Hadith? No. Rather, this is the means of our salvation. Aurangzeb told his ministers, asked them, "Tell me, do you know the sunnats of wudu?" And they replied negatively that we don't know it. So he says, why don't you get an alim to teach you? Nevertheless, I read this year, even the Muhashi writes that Aurangzeb rahimahullah, his maqsad was also this year that these people, by him saying that, they would learn ilm. And when these ulama will give them this type of tuition and ta'aleem, these people will eventually land up giving them something due to which the ma'ash, the livelihood of the ulama would come right and would come in place and would improve and increase. He would also go on to say, I feel so afraid about the darkness of the qabr. Who is speaking about? King Aurangzeb, rahimahullah ta'ala. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabil qabr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you against the adhab of the qabr. Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha would also make this dua. Now Hazrat Muslihul Ummah would bring about all these types of articles and mazameen forward topics to the Ummah, and that's why the Ummah labeled him as Muslihul Ummah, the reformer of the Ummah. Now, as for me, as for us, whether we have accepted it or not, that's something else on its own. Yes, Hazrat Muslihul Ummah has passed on that message to us. You know, what can I say? I never ever missed out a majlis with Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. I was the youngest there, and then he would let me sit there right in front of him, right next to him. You know, it would come to the eve of Jummah and the Jummah day itself, and then we would go home because the whole week you are learning or you are teaching there in the madrasa, and this was our break, and it was just nearby, and we would go home. But Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab says that you people go home on a Friday, and all these great ulama from Deoband come on a Friday. Nevertheless, after he said that, that was enough for me. I never ever went home again on a Thursday or a Friday after Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said that to us. You know, we are experiencing winter here. لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا. But in the Akhirat, in Jahannam, you would also have such a type of a cold that would be a means of a punishment for the people of Jahannam. And in Jannah, it will be so peaceful that the climate will be so beautiful. It will not be so hot. It will neither be so cold. It will be just perfect as a reward for the one who sacrificed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ بِحُرْمَةِ سَيِّدِ النَّبِيِّ الْكَرِيمِ صلى الله عليه وسلم.